Thank you, Ian, for introduction, and especially Mikko, thank you for really good opening speech for my presentation as well. I think really good concept, and I believe that I will be looping back to many of the issues that you presented. Yeah, great to be here. I think a very insightful day ahead, and especially being part of opening the whole ceremony here in the morning. So, as Ian said, I'll be talking about buildings, and particularly about the platforms, analytics, sensors, connectivity is going to do with the buildings, and how it's going to change the game, especially in terms of making our cities smarter, our buildings smarter, and create value. And as this morning session was about the lessons and benchmarking, so I'll really try to get also to really a couple of practical examples with it. So let's go on with it. A bit of a background where I'm coming from. So I work with the Schneider Electric. So we are specializing in the energy management and automation. And but globally, we are seen actually one of the global players for the smart cities. And in fact, this is our largest single segment by far. So that goes across different kind of building types, energy production, infrastructure, and so forth. But as you can see in the right-hand side, what we are really focusing in our development is about how we are making platforms, analytics, and services create value across all these different segments. And if you look at our business today, already almost 50% come from the somehow IoT related. So we have been doing it quite a bit, and we are continuing investing in that in the years to come. So we really want to stay ahead in the game and create value in this space. Now, talking about the smart cities, a little bit scoping. Of course, we understand that in many different ways, and you can take different concepts. I picked up here one consulting company's concept who have smart cities defined across 8 different elements. And if I look at these different elements and how they relate to the buildings, you can look at the smart building itself, about energy production, how that part will work out, the technology itself, how it's linking to the infrastructure. So these 4 elements are directly linked to the buildings. Then the gray part, what I left here out, when we are talking about you, me, us, how we are using these spaces, so it's actually indirectly related to buildings anyway. Not to mention government and our teaching institutions, so where these people are being taught, well, in the buildings. Then the healthcare, it's all about hospitals, healthcare facilities, so again, buildings. And then the mobility, okay, transportation, public services, and so forth. Not directly, but indirectly, we are anyway somehow connected to buildings. So I think it is fair to say that buildings itself are one of the most important elements of a smart city, if not even the most important. One could argue about that, but at least out of this concept, it's very much relevant. You can look at other concepts as well. Kinsey, you can take Fortune 500, you can take Wall Street Journal. So the concepts are somewhat similar and come across all the different elements. And what really makes the smartness in it, it's the integration between different applications, different segments, and how we are able to create value, as also came through in Mikko's presentation pretty nicely. Okay, then stay a while in a big picture. I don't know if you have seen the report called ROTI Report 2017, produced by RIL Finland. Quite interesting report. I would really warmly recommend to study that, but quite stunning facts. If you look at the Finland's national wealth, 80% that sits in the built environment, 60% in the buildings. So we should have pretty good reason for taking better care of our buildings. There's lots of interesting information in that report, but I picked up 2. On the concern side, of course, one of the biggest challenges for us is that our so-called repair debt continues to grow. So clearly we are not doing that good job of taking good care of those buildings. Then on the plus side, one of the elements that was considered in that report, that one of the best opportunities in the built environment is utilizing digital solutions, digital services within that space. very, very interesting, and please check it out. I'm sure you will learn a lot. To sum up also, I find two main reasons why we should actually take good care of our buildings. First of all of us, we spend over 90% of our time in these kind of spaces, buildings, home, work, wherever we are moving. So buildings are around us constantly. Then if you look at the energy side, over 40% of Finland energy is consumed in the buildings. So it's a huge amount. So clearly there's lots of potential within these both areas. I stay for a while in the big picture. If you then look Finland and building business, maybe familiar figure, but in Finland we have 1.5 million buildings. 1.3 million is residential, meaning that it's really fragmented, let's say, infrastructure. But we can also see that in this residential part, more and more newer applications is coming that is helping us to make our homes more efficient, better for us in terms of indoor conditions and so forth. If we then deduct and take that part away, we have over 200,000 buildings, which are so-called business-to-business buildings. It's industries, it's definitely cities and communities. So much more, let's say, focused group of buildings and companies. And now that we are talking here about smart cities and communities, if you look how that part of the building business is constructed, so we have roughly 60,000 buildings owned by the government, owned by the cities and communities. And here the ownership is very centralized actually. If we take 10 biggest cities in Finland, I guess here are people from Helsinki, Vantaa, Espoo, Turku, Kuopio, Jyväskylä and so forth. You guys can make a really big decision and impact almost half of our population. So clearly we can do many things here better. So here we just regularly recommend that even individuals can make a bigger impact that they might think of. Okay, how we then do it smarter, how we renew or make our building stock better for people. So shall we then build or rebuild the whole infrastructure again? That could be an idea, but maybe not an ideal. So it's just maybe thinking a little bit analogy that we have to somehow understand that different industries transform in different pace. And if this picture was taken 2007, it might have looked like this. And then the same picture, if we take it maybe 5 years later, it might look like this. So some industries transform very quickly, some not so quickly, apart from Pasila station, of course, which was built after 30 years when it was initially built, but that's another story. I guess the other railway station will stay here a bit longer. So one can ask that how long it will take if we really want to rebuild the whole built environment, 50 years, 100 years, 200 most likely, even that is not enough, or does it make any sense? I think we have to find some other ways of doing it. Well, the good news is that we don't need to do that. If you look at the whole building stock in Finland, most of it has been built since the 70s. And then approximately mid-80s, there has been some level of automation and the sensors in the building anyway. So there's lots more to do already. And then buildings that are older than that, many of them have been actually refurbished. So I think it's pretty fair to say that there's a lot what we can do already. And if you look at the international studies, what has been done in this space, only 10% of the data is being utilized effectively. So by already taking the data, putting it into use, can create a lot of value. And now, enough for the concept, enough for the frameworks and examples. Now I really want to deep dive as go for more benchmarking and lessons learned. So I have here 2 cases. I have one old building and then I have one new building and what we can do with making them smarter. So this one case example is Vaasa, old prestige office building, and then some renovation has been done for that. And for this case particularly, we're connected 200 different kind of technical assets, processes to make it smarter. And there's a short video what happened after that.
Eli meidän tavoite on kunnostaa ne kiinteistöt ja vuokraa niitä, ja se on pitkäaikaista sijoitusta meille. Se oli alkuvaiheesta heti, niin me tehtiin niin, että me otettiin Schneider ensiksi ja sen jälkeen niin me otettiin rakennusliiket mukaan. Ja Schneider kertoi meille, että jos me tehdään tällä tavalla, niin me saadaan tekniikat kuntoon ja me saadaan talo toimiva. Me haluttiin niin kuin iso yritys mukaan, joka auttaisi meitä, että me pystymme niin kuin hallinnoimaan. Kun on vanha kiinteistö, niin ensimmäinen kysymys, kun ne tulee vuokralaiset, niin minkälaista ilmastointia, toimiiko lämmitys, onko jäädytys ja käyttökustannukset talossa, kiinteistössä on meille tärkeää. Ja kun pystytte näyttämään ja säästämään kiinteistöomistajalle, niin se on yksi tärkeä rooli. Tämä Building Advisor tekee sen, että ne keskittyy siihen ongelmaan ja se tuo meille lisää aikaa. Sen mukaan, mitä me saadaan sen info, niin me pystytään reagoida ennen kuin ne kustannukset on tullut ihan pöydälle, niin sanottuna. Suosittelen kyllä näille kiinteistöomistajalle käyttää Schneiderin järjestelmät ja se on toimiva järjestelmä. Tarkoitus on kyllä jatkaa Schneiderin kanssa ja kiinteistöt, mihin me ollaan laitettu näitä järjestelmät, niin siinä on tullut positiivisia feedbackit ja säästöjä.
Okay, so that was one single building in Finland, and then I'm scoping out a bit on the global picture how we see that. So we have these kind of buildings connected over 1,500, I guess, globally, more than 1 million IoT points, and then what we are assessing is almost 4 million data points annually. And this gives us data, and this is our own data, but we are looking into that in terms of these analytics, we can see energy saving between 15 to 25%. We can see some reduction in the maintenance cost or need to do the maintenance between 10 to 15%. And then when we are also assessing the indoor conditions compared to the values that it should be, we can also see some improved indoor air conditions for people. So it's not only about it's not only energy game, but it's also the people game in that sense. So that's about the building analytics, and then another case I promised to share is about the new building. Of course, when we are about to build a new building, we can really start from the design. We can really take all the technologies into use. We can, of course, take a bit broader picture what we can do. And if the previous case was how to make old buildings smart, so this case is about how to make a new building super smart. So last week, actually, it was opened a little new logistics center in Järvenpää, pretty interesting case. And what we have seen is probably the most or one of the most advanced logistics centers in terms of energy efficiency. Not the indoor logistics, but indoor of the energy part of it. And this particular site seeks to reduce 70% of this energy. So to be honest, I think it's quite amazing what technology can do in this space. So let's look at the video.
Suomalainen luonto on mulle tosi tärkeä. Se on läsnä vapaa-ajassa ja harrastuksissa ja on hienoa, että mä voin tehdä jotain sen hyväksi myös työn puitteissa. Mun nimi on Kalle Intikka ja mä vastaan Lil Suomi Ky:ssä jakelukeskusrakentamisesta. Päivittäistavarakauppa on osaan kaikkien arkea ja sen takia meillä on iso vastuu siitä, miten me kehitetään meidän toimintoja. Kun me lähdettiin suunnittelemaan Järvenpään jakelukeskusta, me ei vielä tiedetty, onko meidän tarpeisiin vastaavia ratkaisuja olemassakaan. Schneider Electricin kanssa me onnistuttiin löytämään sellaista. Me haluttiin kiinteistö, joka toimii kokonaan uusiutuvalla energialla ja joka oppii optimoimaan omaa energiankäyttöä niin, että myös päästöt on mahdollisimman pienet. Se onnistui yhdistämällä Schneiderin EcoStruxure kiinteistöhallintajärjestelmä ja Microgrid Advisor. Se hakee tietoa ulkopuolelta, energiahinnoista ja säätilasta ja opettaa tätä rakennusta ennakoimaan tilanteita ja optimoimaan kulutusta. Tämän mikroverkkokokonaisuuden avulla me voidaan tasata meidän energiatarpeita. EcoStruxure ohjaa kaikkea tämän talon toimintaa. Sen avulla me ollaan ensimmäisenä Suomessa yhdistetty lämmitys- ja jäähdytysjärjestelmät niin, että jäähdytyksessä syntyvä lämpö voidaan varastoida ja hyödyntää, kun sää kylmenee. Laskelmien mukaan me ollaan pääsemässä yli 70% säästöä energiakustannuksissa. Tämä kiinteistö on hiilineutraali ja me vähentää myös läheisen voimalaitoksen hiilidioksidipäästöjä varsinkin kesäaikaan. Yhteistyö Schneiderin Electricin kanssa on avointa ja eteenpäin vievää. Schneiderin toiminnassa näkyy myös kansainvälisyys niin kuin meilläkin. Tämä on hyvä alku yhteistyölle ja toivotaan, että päästään tekemään lisää jatkossakin.
Okay, so that's with the cases. Apologies of the little marketing angle, but I really, as it is lessons on benchmarking, I really wanted to share what can actually happen today, and these are real life cases, what we are doing, so just wanted to share them as it is. Of course, these two cases were primarily about the energy efficiency, how we are able to reuse that, the sustainability impact. But I actually wanted to finish with my presentation about the element that I was not talking today, maybe to be continued in the next time, but it's all about people. And I picked up this slogan, I don't recall which newspaper it was, but I really liked it. That we are talking nowadays still quite a lot about technologies, about buildings, about technology itself, whereas we should be much more focusing on the people. How the smart cities, how the buildings are better communicating with us. I think that will eventually really drive the development of the smart cities. So how we put people first and really put technology work for people. I'm happy to see that finally we are also getting into this space. So we start seeing technologies becoming more visible to us in the buildings. We can start getting user interfaces in our tablets and on mobile phones that we can locate better space for us within the building if it's with the temperature that we like to be, or it is somewhere else in the noise level that I like to work or dislike to work, and so forth. So it starts communicate with us. I think this is truly driving the development of us and how we are getting more satisfied within the spaces that we live and stay our 90% of the time. And then sort of continuing with that, how these kind of platforms, digital services, analytics is creating new kind of ways that is somehow improving our user experience, increasing our excitement. I think when we are really exciting about something, we want to get it. Like a mobile phones. We started to buy certain American mobile phone makers mobile phones because they were simply better. And I think this will happen also in the buildings. All right, so finishing off, I started with the statement, I believe that these platforms, analytics will change the game. I shared some example where I believe that it really has changed the game. This is possible to do, I would say, all across the smart city segments, different kind of buildings, different kind of infrastructures and so forth. What I would recommend is really that whoever is making a decision, don't do it for the sake of technology, don't do it for the sake of analytics, but always start with the why. What is your why in your building or in your case? What do you really want to drive? Start with that. Then look what you have. You probably have more data than you believe. So take that data into use, look different suppliers who can help you, and make this data to connect. Create a platform, use this data to drive your business, and eventually make smarter decisions. And with the smarter decision, I guess we can create better and smarter buildings and smarter cities for us to live. So I finished with that. Thank you so much.